And special for this demonstration here, you'll see we're walking into a totally new town. Yep, I went through the Witch's Tower 2 more times just so I could show you the other Carpenter's towns and, well, what they do. This is the bartending Carpenter, or maybe maid cafe Carpenter, because this girl in the maid costume works for him. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, all these people, they know a bunch of miscellaneous stuff about us. Like, we bought 20 healing. Really? I bought that many? Yeah, that is kind of creepy, but yeah, I got a bunch of, oh yeah, we went through people's dressers, 19 times. That's how many items we found throughout the game. Really, that many already? So, yeah, a bunch of stuff that we honestly don't care about for the most part. I mean, unless maybe you have a tally somewhere. Otherwise, we got the Carpenter himself. And for 600 zenny a person, he will raise our condition to super, which, of course, costs a lot. And plus, you remember that one guy, Hans, who sells accessories, the turbocharge item, that also raises our condition to super, so it's kind of pointless, although it is a little less expensive, but I don't really care about all this miscellaneous information. There's nothing upstairs, by the way, in any of the Carpenter's homes. So, anyway, onward to the next Carpenter. Since this guy's not very interesting, I don't really care to talk to all the people here. Alright, this is the, Cooking Carpenter's town, my favorite one. Pretty darn good. For this, just for starters, we want to look into the 5th house here, where I've already recruited Hans, who you should have recruited if you have him. And for this, specifically, we want to buy these turbocharges. At least 3 of them. That's how many I can afford at the moment. So, alrighty. The reason I want to do that is because the cooking Carpenter likes to cook, or rather his wife does. And what you do in order to do that is basically you give him, I don't know, you can give him various combinations of items, and you might get something out of it if it's a good combination. Otherwise, you'll get a piece of charcoal. Oh, we got 2 pieces of charcoal. Nice. Yeah, well, charcoal is totally worthless. It doesn't even sell for anything and serves no purpose, except it can be used as a cooking ingredient in itself. But one of the things with this guy, besides getting permanent stat boosting items, is we can also get a ton of money from this guy. Those turbochargers I just bought, we bought those for a total of 3,000 zenny. If you give him 3 turbocharges and then press cancel, this is okay. His wife will go cook them up, and somehow he'll cook up a gold brick, which we can then turn around, go back to Hans. Walking, short distance, fortunately. Oop. I love the layout of this town. It's definitely the best. And we can sell our gold brick for 6,000 zenny, 3,000 zenny profit, and then go buy 6 more of those turbocharges, and eventually you can just keep on making more gold bricks until, you just make so much money you will never ever need to, money grind for, anything. So, I should actually sell those. Anyway, except for that. Oh, wait. Or maybe, well, anyway, whatever. Yeah, besides all of that, there's a whole bunch of items, permanent stat boosting items that we can make eventually, not quite with the items that we have available to us now. You'll see this all on screen right now. All these items boost attack power, defense, speed, wisdom, or not wisdom. Well, actually, yeah, wisdom, luck, and will permanently. So you can pretty much power yourself up to just, like, way too much. Pretty darn early in the game. So, yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna stick with the other Carpenter that I chose. So, Alrighty, and lastly, we got the house of the carpenter I'm going to be using, who is the Othello Carpenter. Basically, what we do here is we basically are going to want to save first. You know the rules yet? Yeah, sure I do. Now, that is something that you do. I actually want to mention back there that decision. In the original game, the options are mixed up. It'll say no. I mean, yes and no will be mixed up. Choose the one on the left, or actually the negative or whatever, if you want to not get the explanation. So basically, what we do is this is how we use our tokens. We'll just say I got a token, and oh, that's exactly what I wanted, I think. Isn't it? Oh, wait. Oh, no, it's not. But anyway, I'll reshape that, eventually. But, yeah, these two are switched in the original. It's kind of ridiculous. Yes means no, no means yes. But, sure I do, and I actually want that in one of the corners around the sword or the helmet there. So, that's different. In the original, it just actually showed you throwing it, but okay. Anyway, I'll put those where I want it to be. Where I want it to be later. These all are items that, for the most part, we will be able to get eventually, but they're really good stuff to have early on, at least most of it. Primarily, the main reason I really like the Othello Carpenter is because of this item up here, which I don't know what any of these items are called in this game, but it's called the Tiger Sword in the original, which is a really nice weapon to have. Probably one of the best in the game, really. Not because of its attack power, which actually is pretty high, but the thing about it is that if you use it as an item in battle, it becomes an infinite use Cure 2 spell. So you can get, 100-point healing pretty much anytime you want, at least for one character at a time anyway. But otherwise, the only other place to get the Tiger Sword is as a rare drop from a particular monster we'll find later in the game, which I have managed to get once by happenstance, but only once. Actually, in my 2 test runs of the game, between the two, I ended up getting like 6 rare drops. I couldn't believe it. But anyway, otherwise, let's see, we got here. This is the Lop-Off Whip, which is for one of the characters we don't have yet, or the last main character, I should say. I don't particularly care for this item myself. It has a really low attack power of 10, but its real benefit is that it has a special trait attached to it that is called Toasty in the original game. And a toasted attack is somewhat similar to a critical hit, where it'll randomly occur, somewhat rarely, unfortunately, and it will basically be an instant death attack that works on everything that is not a boss. But again, it doesn't happen frequently enough for me to really think it's beneficial, so I don't care. I also don't care about this weapon. This is the Ice Bow. Physically speaking, it's the second strongest weapon in the game for Bosch. And being an ice elemental weapon, it can be kind of useful, although there are not that many monsters in the game total that are weak to ice, and we've already met several of them already anyway, which is kind of, not as useful, even though it is like the strongest ice elemental weapon. But there's also another weapon out there that is just flat out stronger for Bosch in general. That's a lot cheaper and whatnot, but yeah, I don't really care about the Ice Bow that much. Otherwise, over here, we got the Shiny Hat, which is one of the most powerful helmets in the game, physically speaking at least, or defensively speaking at least. So we'll want to pick that up pretty soon as well. Now, basically, the way the game works here is the Tolens, or tokens. We throw them on the board randomly, and let's just say one landed here, and the other one landed here. Because those 2 weapons are between the tokens, we could come over to this lady, and then claim those 2 items. What I'm going to want to do eventually is put one in the corners here so I can get the Tiger Sword and the Shiny Hat. Definitely good ones to take early on. And if we come back here, his wife also has items for us to get. Hers, I think, a little bit better. Unfortunately, I don't have a token. There's 12 tokens all in the game, but we only need 8 total to actually get all the items. Now, what we got here is the King of Daggers. Probably it'll be like the King of Knives or something in this version. This is a very powerful item, or fairly powerful item for early on in the game. Not so much later on, but when you use it as an item, it also becomes an infinite use defense up spell, so that can be fairly useful. Here's an item I really like, the Thunder Staff. Lightning is the second best element for to have it equipped on a weapon, because the only thing that resists it are those spirit type monsters that are strong against everything except for holy anyway. But what's really good about it is that with this, if you use it as an item, it becomes an infinite use. What is it? I forget. It's called Thunder in this game, I believe, but it's that second strongest lightning spell in the game, which is multi-target. It's really nice to have as a item. Over here, we've got the Rainbow Robe, one of my personal favorite armors in the game. Of all the ultimate armors, it's probably one of the defensively weakest, but it also protects you against, or has some protection against fire and ice elements, which is something I realized I haven't the elemental protection is something I haven't talked about just yet. But I'll get to that in a bit here. Last here is the Giant Shield, which only Rand can equip. It's the third strongest shield that he can equip, actually, or technically fourth, since there's 2 other shields that are tied for... Or actually, no, tied for third is what it is. Never mind. But one of the good thing about it is that if you use it as an item, it becomes an infinite use defense up spell, which is also good. But again, the main reason I love this is because of the tiger sword in this room, which is really hard to get otherwise, and it's just so abusive. But anyway, mentioning that elemental protection again, basically the way elemental protection works, as long as I'm here, elemental protection actually stacks. It doesn't just flat out protect you or give you 50% protection. It gives you kind of like a 20% or something like that with every piece of equipment you have, up to 3 times. So it works however this is on screen here. I unfortunately didn't bother to look at this ahead of time because I forgot that I hadn't explained the elements yet. So yeah, there it is. This is how the elemental protection works for our characters. The more you have, the better, although really you only need like 1 or 2 to really make a difference. But anyway, with the carpenters finally out of the way, we can go to the last bit of information. The last thing we want to do, which is Granny's shop. In this treasure chest, we get diffuse orb called the Divide Blade or something like that in the that room. We'll see it in a moment. In the original, basically with her new laboratory, we can do fusion with the shamans that we picked up. We picked up 2 of them so far. Now in the original game, these options are switched. She'll say, do you do you need a lecture or something like that? And it'll say like no here and yes here. You'll want to say no in that case, but we just want to get started because I can explain it a lot faster. With the fusion thing, fuse, index, undo. Fuse, basically we can fuse with up to 2 shamans at a time, or any one character can, but you cannot share shamans between characters. What these do is that when you have these equipped, they will raise your stats a little bit. So, for example, what is her name? Sanamo? Yeah, Sanamo in this game. Oh, I don't want to hear the lecture. Let's just get started. But yeah, Sanamo. Okay, let me get out of there. Looking at Rand real quick. She will raise... Oops, not status. She'll raise your attack power by 10% of whatever your strength rating is. And the other one that we got, I forget the water shaman there, whatever her name is, she will raise your wisdom by 10% of whatever your unraised wisdom is. So whatever your wisdom is without any boosting equipment. Which is all fairly useful in general, basically the way it works again. Yes, 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 blah, 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 blah. Let's get started. I want to fuse. You saw what Rand's strength there was, right? But, yeah, Rand, we just give him Sanamo. We begin. I like this music. And there we go. Fusion successful. And now, his strength has gone up fairly considerably in this case, I think. 83. What was it before? We can use the diffuse orb to undo that for any reason you might want. So yeah, it went up by 30 points there. Dang. That's quite a lot there. Jeez. Anyway, the thing with Fusion, though, is not everyone can equip every Shaman. For example, Tapeta here is not able to fuse with Sanamo, I guess because frogs don't fuse well with fire, which really sucks for him because his attack power is so cruddy in the first place. And I'm not really particularly big on Sesso, which we can equip to him, but you know, since Wisdom isn't that big a deal, but, you know, you can if you want. Ryu cannot equip any of the Shamans, and right now, Lin is also not able to equip any of our current Shamans. She won't be able to equip any until we get one particular one, which will allow her to fuse with more than one, as long as that one's in place, but I'll get to that later. Now, the other thing here is I want to give Sten... Oh, actually, before that, one thing is that once you fuse once, you'll get this index here, and once with everything you've ever chosen, and you can just pick, and you don't have to go through that whole fusion thing. He says automatically equip with Sanamo. But anyway, the other thing I wanted to show here was Sten equipping Sanamo, because for him, it's a little different. Oh, you know what? It's not 10%, it's like 25% or something like that. I'm sorry. Well, I'll check on that. But anyway, Fusion really successful. We get the red Sten, or whatever you'd like to call it. And for him, I didn't actually look at his stats, but he gets a major attack boost of 50% for this color palette change. Let's see, it's 87, and without it, 63. It was... And that was with a much lower strength rating than Rand there. But anyway, for the color palettes, Sten, Rand, Nina, and one other character can all do that kind of transformation eventually. And it'll raise that particular stat, or a particular stat, by 50%. Now, another thing with the fusion here, I guess one last thing I should mention, or actually two more things I need to mention, I almost forgot, is that Shamans of opposite elements, like fire and water, you can't equip two of those at the same time. That just, you know, doesn't work. The other thing about the Shamans is that if you level up and you know, gain more strength, your Shaman will not recalculate the gains in strength there. You'll gain, like, however much more, but it won't add it to the percentage that it took from the first time that you know, originally transformed. So, if, for example, I, you know, had an attack power of 80 or something, and I gained, you know, some more strength there with a level up, I would have to re-equip the Shaman in order for it to recalculate that percentage, in order for it to go up by more than just however much we gained. Now, this may not seem like it's really all that worth it too much right now, but it will be as time goes on. There's other uses for these fusions as well, or I should say better uses for the fusions as well, which we'll get to eventually. But in the meantime, I'm actually done with all this. So we're going to go back to Simifort, or whatever it's called in this one, and finally get on with the plot next time on Let's Play Breath of Fire 2, the Retranslation. Arrivederci.